tell them the Blossom stuff.
There is no beer. That's why we drink it here. And when we are gone from here, our friends will be drinking our beer.
It's Footy and Frothies preview time. Daggy and Barney with you. No, Ollie, he left. As we preview round 5 of a National Rugby League action. Let's get straight into it. We've done all the pleasantries already, so let's get into the Thursday night game. Raiders and Sharks from GEO Stadium. For the Raiders, Morgan Smithies comes back onto the bench, and Josh Papa'i goes into the starting side, no Trey Mooney. We've got Hiroti into the starting side for the Sharks. No Kale Iro with a hamstring injury. I have not seen NRL physio or anyone else suggest how bad or not that is. So a bit of a question mark on that one going forward. And Tom Hazelton's back. He comes on the bench as well. Talakai misses the game with his HIA concerns from last week. Do you bounce back here, Barn?
You would imagine it's a month for Iro at minimum.
Yeah, 4 weeks sort of thing. But this has not been a pretty game for you, has it, generally?
No, neither was the Dogs. We've somehow managed to lose 6 out of the last 7 or something against the Bulldogs, even when they were running last. This season's there, but realistically should win. As long as they play a little bit more adventurous than what they did last week. Their forwards should be able to win the battle, especially getting into the rotation. I thought Rudolph had a really good game last week. Hazelton, hard to Pua. I think they've probably got an edge once you get into that rotation. Hiroti being able to pass the ball might actually mean Mulatalo can score a try or two, because Iro just will not pass the fucking thing. But we'll see how it lines up. They'll probably get beaten by 20. But I'm going to go Sharks 1-12. I'm going to go McGuinness, man of the match, because he's the only bloke who's been slapping people around and actually trying to take people with him. And I'm going to go first try scorer Hiroti, just because you might do the Iro thing and not pass it and score the first try once it gets out there. I've got absolutely no confidence in the Sharks after what I saw last week, but you can't be confident with what you saw out of the Raiders last week, realistically either. So this could be an absolute bludger, it could be a really high intensity game of football.
I'm tipping the Sharks as well, and every part of me is screaming to tip the Raiders, but I'm sort of subscribing to the fact they might not be with us.
I think the Sharks will get a slap around and be told to actually do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I'm probably hoping more than that.
Sorry, Billy Burns in the back row, I just noticed as well. Where's Teague Wilton?
Yeah, good question.
That must be a late change because that wasn't on my list. No Teague Wilton. Forwards match up
be an injury, you would
very well physically. A big job for AFB to take on these two front rowers. And like I said, down there off the back of a pretty high intensity game last week, I'm very tempted to tip the Raiders, and given my standing currently in most tipping comps, I may well do that in PCTC and such. But Sharks for me, because I'm not sure where the Raiders are quite at. First try scorer, Stone Street, spinning the ball out wide. On the other side, man of the match will be either Nickera or Fanua Blake, because they've got a job ahead of them to get the job done against this forward pack. 6 o'clock.
Wilton's dropped out with illness, apparently.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's not on my notes, or this is not what I'm looking at either. So, Braden Burns into the back row there. Panthers get a rare 6 o'clock game at CommBank. I can't remember the last time we saw Penrith at 6 o'clock on a Friday against the Cowboys. For Penrith, we've got Nathan Cleary back into the 7. Casey McLean onto the wing for Bizza. And no Sorensen, so Ice starts in the back row. Their bench is Schneider, Eisenhuth back into first grade, Henry and Garner, which is all fair enough. For the Cowboys, they're unchanged from last week. And yeah, no, nothing more to add there. No, unchanged from last week. So just reading through the reserves. I think Penrith, this is a tricky one, but I think Penrith bounced back. They've been too bad to be true. Cleary coming back in will help out. This may be a bludger. And there is footwork and size and strength from the outside backs for the Cowboys that could trouble them. I think this is a high scoring game. I think this is maybe 30 plays 22-ish because they'll leak some points out there if they keep the trend that's been happening. And really, a year ago, Barn, if I'd read out these names, Laurie, Alamode, Tungo, Jenkins, McLean, Cole, as a backline, you wouldn't have backed them against too many reserve grade teams, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you probably would have been backing the Cowboys 13 plus, but they've, as you mentioned, like Cowboys have been too bad to be true for the start of the year as well until last week. Yeah, this could be real close. By the back end of this game, like there's a few guys that look like they do have probably a distinct advantage against their opposition in those positions, but
Well, the
Cleary coming
forward
back.
pack, the forward pack is very favourable for Penrith, but
Yep.
geez, the backline's the complete opposite.
Yeah, 100%. But Cleary coming back, you would not surprise me if he just creates 2 tries off his own bat, and that might be just enough to get him home by 2 or 4 points. Penrith 1-12. Cleary man of the match, and I'm going to go Jenkins first try scorer. I just think
Good
I
player.
really like the way he moves, ball in hand, and if you can line him up with either Purdue or Vailea, depending on who he matches up against, I think he can probably get on the inside or outside shoulder of both of them and score points there. So
Yeah, I'm going to 1-12 Penrith. First try scorer, Papali'i running off a Cleary short ball.
Okay.
And man of the match, probably Cleary. If Penrith lose this, well, it might be time to start panicking there, Buller.
It's going to be a short ball. I'd be going with Martin, but
True.
That's another one.
We get the Book of Grudges game up next. The Bunnies hosting the Chooks at Accor Stadium, not Allianz. And Latrell Mitchell's back. He's good at football. He's on the left centre now because Jai Gray keeps the first spot. And this is maybe my most exciting thing of the whole week to see Latrell back and play at centre because I think he might.
I was almost going to buy him on Supercoach, but he's like 860 grand.
Oh, we wait till he's dual in a few weeks at 650 and then just
if he punches out 290s, then yeah, I'll buy him.
Oh, and
there's a good chance he drops 80k.
I assume he's going to kick as well. Tass goes onto the wing and Hubner's back in. Tellis Duncan goes back to the bench. Connor Watson's back and Faketti's back as well. Docker Clay keeps his spot at least on the bench. Lindsay Collins at prop. Spencer Lenu also riding the pine for now, which isn't a bad looking bench to be honest. Looking at that. Very, very interesting game. I am going to go with... I'm looking forward to this game because... let me just check who the referee is. Adam G. Okay, not Ashley Klein. I'm going 2 sin bins in this game at least. And because we do have... And we didn't mention...
Well, just on that, the crackdown, are we going 10.5 over or under for the weekend?
Under, but at 10. But at 10, like 10. It'll be 10. But I'm going to say, who's the first game? There will be 2 in the first game.
Sharks going
I promise you. And Ricky's going to have a blow up. There'll be a Ricky blow up coming.
Hamian ULA and Hudson Young.
Yeah, it'll be something like that. I reckon there'll be panic stations and there'll be 12 on 12 in that game. But it'll sort of calm down over the weekend because it'll be massive. By Sunday, it'll have all washed out because everyone will be whinging about it. Which maybe thinks so. I reckon those 10 will happen before Sunday. There you go. There's a bold prediction. Souths 1-12. I'm going to tip them here. I think they're doing good things, and Roosters are doing bad things. Simple as that. Arrow, Kolomatangi, and that forward pack are doing really are going to hold their own against Joe Arrow. We didn't mention. We talked about Queensland forwards, but he should get that back row spot. You'd think. Latrell back just has me so excited. I'm going to go in 2 try assists and a try on that left edge because we talked about Dom Young being a concern. Latrell's going to throw it from here, throw it from there, and probably just barge him off once and score himself.
Robert Toya there as well.
Yeah, like that screams.
Lining up directly against Latrell.
It just it has it all over. I'm going to Latrell man of the match because I'm a slut. And first try scorer, Tass outside him.
I'm going Latrell first try scorer too.
He's just going to
man of the match. Latrell.
He's just going to bully someone. You know when he runs over, you know when he just like chest bumps him off and scores. That's what he's going to do. I can't wait on
100%.
Oh, and I'll be so excited.
the thing I'm thinking is like he can make them a 12 point better team, but he's not going to cost them points.
Mm.
Like he's probably going to be better as a
It's like
defensive
like
center
he's
than
I don't say
who was there
factually,
beforehand.
but
So
he is the best centre in the game when he plays Origin at centre. And you can argue,
unless Tommy's got his legs attached,
yeah, and like he's now just going to come up against Robert Toyer.
and he's just going to be barging at both of them,
Yeah.
and he might even step back inside and take the Chad or Sandon Smith,
Yeah.
whoever's defending out there instead. And I can
And if
see
he's
it
not, he's going to be
being.
throwing that last pass out to Tass anyway.
I don't think it'll get blown away because I really like what Connor Watson's been doing because they've been
Mhm.
using him as a 7, and I think he'll provide a few more attacking opportunities and a try or two. And yeah, the score might get blown out at the end, but I think it'll still be, within 12, 14 points at the back end because Connor Watson adds a heap to that Roosters team that they haven't had recently. So let's say 24-16 or something
Now,
around those marks.
obviously, Sam Walker's. Actually, I don't know how his update's going, but I assume it's going to be mid-season. When could the discussion be had about Sam Walker playing 7? Not Sam Walker, Connor Watson.
I think it'll probably happen in the next 2 weeks.
Because Zocker play. What am I doing? Zocker.
Play.
Zach Docker Clay has been pretty good last week. So if he does the same here, maybe, Craig Wing style, he could slot into that 7 role and get the job done pretty well.
Well, he was doing it before he got his HIA previous week and missed last week. He was playing 7 for big parts of the game anyway. So
Yeah.
he had a big role to play in that Penrith win that
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
that didn't really get mentioned that I saw. But
Absolutely. And sorry, in the review I talked about Egan and Appy, but it's Connor Watson's spot to lose, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, the 14.
Eels and
or even
Dragons.
the 9.
Eels and Dragons. Gutho returns to Combank to take on what's left of his former side anyway. Dylan Walker's coming in at 14 off the bench, and Riley Smith's going to start. No Lossick. The rest of the team looks pretty much what you'd expect. No shocks there. Still no. And even in the extended squads, there's no Cartwrights, no Madisons. Man,
There's a Dan Kerr. We just need a couple of A's and an N.
there is. Yeah, there is
Decent
there. That bench.
ACL.
That bench sounds like I don't know, Moretti, Tuivati, and Keir. Good luck to him.
Dylan Walker adds something, but
Absolutely does. They need him. I'm surprised. To be honest, I'm surprised he didn't start in the 6 or 7. But Emre Gula's got 3 games, so Toby Couchman starts. Clemmer also does so. Blake Laurie is added to the bench. How do you tip Parramatta? You don't. I
they
can't.
could do worse than having Walker play 13 and have Hopgood play on an edge. But
Absolutely. It's still. I don't know. It's still baffling to me. No, like I said, the 2 I mentioned, but no. Who's the bloke that came from the Tigers? The other bloke in headgear, the back row. He's not there.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Seen for a while.
Anyway, doesn't matter. We haven't seen him for a bit. I don't know what's gone at their club, but I wish them all the best. Dragons will win 1-12. I think this will be a bludger of a game. I think Gutho's going to be man of the match. 2 try assists and try. And Moses Sully first. No, wait. It's Parramatta. Who's their winger? Christian Tuipulotu. He'll score 2. Get on now and be happy, Barn.
I think Dragons will win 13 plus. I'm worried about the size from the Parramatta Eels. Like, once you get into that bench rotation that we mentioned, up against.
It is a big forward back when you throw in Leilua, Sui, DeBell, and Clemmer against, the other guys.
Luciano, Hamish Stewart's not a small guy. Egan's been killing it, even though he's only a kid.
Is he
We
still
know
a
Laurie
cheapie?
can be really good, but he hasn't been for a while. But you never know. I just think they'll dominate the middle, and you might get a Lomax try off a high ball or Penasini picking up something like a dead ball and running away. But I think Gutherson and Holmes will really cause some havoc on that left edge. And yeah, I think the Dragons 13 plus. I'm gonna go Sewer man of the match. I think he's gonna have a field day on that right edge. Really cause problems, score a try, set one up, and I'm gonna go Holmes first try scorer again. Uh, Same as what they did last week against Melbourne.
I'm just looking at sports bet right now. $1.93 for -4.5 seems like stealing money. Like
Minus 4.5 the Dragon.
yeah,
Really?
if you're ever just going to have a good bet, whatever a good bet might be for you, just back the Dragons minus a line. Like that is a bet any day of the week, as we'll get to in this next one actually. But next up we've got the 5:30 Titans and Dolphins from Gold Coast there. For the Titans, Jamin Jolliffe is back in, and Sean Malani comes onto the bench for his first grade debut, joins Fafita and Brock Gray. Chris Randall starts at hooker because Verrills is out injured, and yeah, that's the story for them. Still to Groot, Brimson, Campbell, the spine. For the Dolphins, Max Plath goes into the second row. No, he goes back to the back to 13 with no Tom Gilbert, Finafuiaki and Lemuelia, the new back row. The rest is what we saw last week. Yeah, I said I had concerns about the Dolphins in the review. I'm going to stick to that. I think Titans just have more points. Titans will score 30. Dolphins won't. Simple as that. It'll be 30-18. Jaden Campbell get him around the park again. And if he keeps getting around the park and they have a decent season, I know you can't bet on Dally M anymore, but he'd be a great Dally M Raffy, I reckon, Jaden Campbell, because he's going to get a lot of points this year. First try scorer, Bo Fermor, 13 plus. Man of the match, Campbell. Barn?
I've gone Fermor first try scorer too.
You
So
dirty dog.
just put the red pen through that because that's not going to happen because we both tipped it. I'm going to go Tino man of the match. I think when it gets down and dirty and teams are starting to get tired, it's going to be Tino who's going to be the one that's really making an impact through the middle of the field, even providing points. He might even crash over for another one of his own. And yeah, the Dolphins have just proved that their defense just goes completely missing at times. And if you can get Sammy and Kelly, they're fast enough and big enough to cause problems out in those outside edges. So, yeah, Titans 13 plus.
You just can't tip the Dolphins till you're shown otherwise.
Exactly.
7:30 from Suncorp. Pardon me. Broncos host the Tigers. Unfortunately, the oldest half combination in the NRL against the youngest half combination in the NRL. In fact, if you added Galvin and Fainu's half age together, that's probably going to be about what Adam Reynolds is, 36 or something. But anyway, Jordan Ricky's out, so Brendan Piacora comes back in, and Tyson Smoothie still 18th man. Latu Fainu in for Luai after his one-match suspension. I've not heard any update about his shoulder. Dewey's back, so Jack Bird goes back to the bench, and Luke Lowe Lee comes in for Jarrell Skelton, who seems to have not done well from the back of his hamstrings concern there. Barn, what are you doing?
I'm going Brisbane 13 plus, but I don't think it'll be a 13 plus. Like, it's going to look like 13 plus for the entire game. It'll be the last 15, 20 minutes, and Brisbane will just put on an extra 2 tries to extend that lead from 10 to 20.
Reese Lightning time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Payne Haas crashing over, or something similar. I think the Tigers will hold their own for a good 40 to 50 minutes of this game, and they might even be in front at one point. But I'm going to go Cobbo first try scorer and Payne Haas man of the match because he's the best player in the competition at the moment.
I'm going to go 1 to 12 Brisbane out of hope. And if Tigers get done by 8, like that's almost a win for this Tigers team with the setup they've got at the moment. If they match the physicality, that'll be tremendous. Terrell May versus Payne Haas. He's a bit salivating and seeing how that all matches up, but there's a lot of strike power, and let's be honest, Dewey, Toa, Laueli against Stags, Chibasaki and co. doesn't scream defence. And two, I guess, essentially rookie halves and a 20-year-old fullback doesn't give me a lot of confidence. If there's any, like, this would be one of the great Tigers wins if there is an upset, but we've not seen it in a while. 1 to 12, I think Payne Haas man of the match, as you suggested, and Shibasaki first try scorer. Sunday kicks off the Battle of Brooky. Seagulls and Storm. Hopewade goes back to fullback, which sees Clayton Falualu onto the wing. Cooler Garrick the centres as usual, and Nathan Brown starts at prop with no Aloe, and Sipley back onto the bench. For Melbourne, Jerome Hughes is listed on an extended bench, so we will watch and see what happens there. And Lazarus Valepu has been added to the extended bench, the actual bench there, with Seve dropping off. Now, interesting player there, which there's a spruik on, and we'll see where he lobs. Moses Leo is apparently a gun. He's just come back. He's a sevens player and has been signed in a similar vein to Will Warbrick. So he's on the extended bench. He might get a run in the next few weeks. Anyway, that all being said, it's Melbourne and Manly at Manly Barn. What are we doing here?
I just think there's probably a few extra options under the high ball, realistically. I just think you get Coates and Warbrick under the high ball on the edges. I know you're up against Saab, but Faoleo may have some issues trying to defend against Warbrick out on that edge. And there's a little bit more size and consistency, I think, coming out of this Storm forward pack.
Out of nowhere, the Storm now have like almost the biggest forward back in the comp.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Especially with Kamakamika and Vailipu coming off the bench. If they can inject some real go forward in that space where Manly's trying to shuffle around with Waddell, Bullymore and Sipley, I can see the Storm maybe really taking an edge there for that 20-minute period, 10 or 15 minutes either side of halftime, and that might be just where they were able to break open the game. You know, Bloor and Katoa are going to just be hammering that door down, short balls off Harry Grant. I'm hoping he really gets back to where he was because we know he's an absolute
It needs to be a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, Munster and Wishart can provide that kind of thing as well. And then that option B, I think you might see that actually come out this week with Warbrick and Xavier Coates jumping for high balls in the corners. But yeah, I think Storm do it 1 to 12, and I think they do it pretty comfortably. They might even end up being 13 plus. Munster man of the match because we haven't seen it for a while, and Katoa first try scorer.
Yeah, Storm 1 to 12. I'm not entirely comfortable. I'm going to go with it. Especially if Hughes plays. If Hughes plays, their morals, they'll win. Warbrick first try. You've covered off really well. Don't have much to add. Warbrick first try. I think Pappy gets one as well. And their forwards will dominate this because you start getting into the world where you've got Nathan Brown, Takiaho, and then whoever else coming on and doing into that rotation. It becomes skinny after a minute. So I'm going to go Storm, man of the match. First try score, Warbrick, if I didn't say that. Man of the match. Let's go with Sean Bloor, doing a good job on an edge, but recently Katoa's going to be the one in the firing line they go to. So let's change that to Elise Katoa. Because he'll pop up with a try or two along the way. It's very interesting, Manly, because if they get done here and then drop another game very quickly, they're going to just be like the media central. It's going to be panic stations, and it's going to
100%.
The fire's not going to go out. You're going to be the NRL 360 flavour of the month for a long time. Anyway, we wrap up with Bulldogs and Knights, potentially game of the round. Probably this Sunday is a cracker. At a call, and for the Bulldogs, if no Tupanua, Curtis Moran comes onto the bench, and Carraz is on an extended bench, but the suggestion is he will play, which will, I assume, come in for Blake Wilson, but I don't know that.
Could be Montoya.
It could be either one, actually. Good question there. And Leo Thompson is back in, Brody Jones out, still missing a couple of their back row cattle. Barney's in a world of trouble. Rightio, Bulldogs Knights. Barney's back. He's alive, and he's going to tell us who's going to win.
Apologies, too much fluid in and not enough fluid out. Might be time to be examined digitally, but
Excuse me?
we'll work that out.
Okay.
It's about that time in life.
You need to go and find out Ollie's whatever he was doing earlier. But anyway.
I really want to tip the Knights in this, but I can't. On paper, it looks like the Knights should probably have more than what the Bulldogs have got, but we've seen what the Bulldogs have got, and it's fucking plenty. So it's concerning. I'm going Dogs 1 to 12.
And what part of the paper is screaming to you, Barn? Like the forward pack or Best and Gay Guy? Like, I think they match up pretty
Gay
well.
Guy, Ponga, Leo Thompson coming back, Frizzell, Elliott, like.
Yeah, okay. But like we're heading towards though. Sherry Crichton,
could have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rayleigh coming off the bench, but we've seen what Man brings. So yeah, it's weird. It's Fletcher Sharp's done some really nice things. I just think there's more points in this Knights team.
Absolutely, yes. There are
I
points
don't think the Dogs let them score the points.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's the issue. Like this
and
team's
Newcastle
capable of scoring 24 to 30 points, but the Dogs are probably only going to let them score 10.
And
then you
will
have to go back the other way.
And then we'll score 20 themselves.
And the Dogs are going to score 18 to 24, and they're going to win by 10, and it's going to be an easy win for the Dogs.
Yeah.
But Dogs 1 to 12. I'm going to go first try scorer in Newcastle. I think Bradman Best might score the first try, just off a short ball, running like a back rower through the centres there to score the first try. But I think Connor Tracy's,
a good footballer.
Never wanted him to leave the Cronulla. I wanted him to be our number one, and they let him go. And we've had many a conversation about Connor Tracy being the best fullback in the game.
So you've admitted it. Okay,
I told you at the time, and never wanted him to go.
Okay.
But I didn't think he should be replacing Kennedy at that time. But about 6 weeks later, yeah. And I think he's going to pop up. He's really good at putting himself in positions to save tries. But I think in this one, he's going to be the guy coming through the middle, collecting balls and, passing it on to somebody else to score the final points. So Connor Tracy, man of the match, Dogs 1 to 12, Bradman Best first try scorer.
Yeah, Dogs 1 to 12. I think they get a job done here because there's some big outs for Newcastle. So I just think the defence is going to. I think Ponga's looked great in the early games where he's been able to. I can't say bully, but own some of those teams. Whereas he won't get the opportunity here. They'll just pin him. They'll pin him. They'll nail him every time. They'll let him shot.
They'll shut down his supports.
Yeah, so they'll have him covered, and then there's not many fullbacks. Given Fletcher Sharp essentially plays fullback for him as well. And they'll do the job. They'll be, like I said, 24-8 or 24-10. And then people start panicking about Newcastle. Jacob Preston, tremendous player. And he will do the job here on the opposition back row. I'm going to go with him, man of the match, first try scorer. Bronson Sherry. I think this is a comfortable 1 to 12. I think it's, like I said, 20 to 8 and not too many dramas. This is a proper team, Bulldogs. And we'll go from that. What's got your frothing, Barn?
There's not a lot. The Penrith Cowboys, for mine, is a sneaky matchup. I think that's going to be a very interesting game in the way it plays out. I think Cleary might just bring him home at the back end of that game at 6 p.m. on Friday, but I think the Cowboys are going to be in that one for a long way, and it's going to look a little bit different than what people think. And Broncos Tigers actually is very interesting.
It's probably the game of the round. If it's not that,
really going to see where the Tigers do measure up. If Taylor May had another Bash brother with him, I would even think about tipping the Tigers, but that Haas Carrigan punch is probably just a little bit.
I agree with that. But they've got a decent enough record, the Tigers against the Broncos. They've upset them a few times recently. But that being said, it's got me frothing rugby league chaos because I think there is like Raiders, Sharks, anything could happen.
Upsets galore.
Anything could happen. Rabbitohs, Roosters, anything could happen. Panthers, Cowboys, anything could happen. 15 send-offs. Eels, Dragons, wackiness with Jared Sutton in charge, who apparently didn't get sacked after doing nothing last week. Titans, Dolphins, craziness. You mentioned Tigers.
100%. There's 4 or 5 games this week that the outsider could win 13 plus.
Yeah. Seagulls, Storm. Like, if Manly put 20 on Storm, you'd go, okay. And then, like you said, you want to tip the Knights against the Bulldogs. But the Bulldogs could put 40 on them as well. Like, rugby league chaos is what we're here for, and I think it's coming this week. So I'm excited for that.
It's coming all year. Like, we said it in the preview, and I don't see it. Like, I think it will even out a little bit around the Origin period, and that's only because you're gonna know what teams have got because half their team's gone to Origin.
Exactly.
Whatever, but
we might
either side of Origin, it could just be messy as hell.
We might get to a world where Penrith miss the 8 if they're 4 from 10 heading into Origin and lose Yo, Bizza, Cleary, etc., Edwards for Origin.
Well, what was last year's top 4? Cronulla, Penrith, Melbourne,
Chooks, was it? Or
the Roosters?
Or Roosters
so
and
3 of those fucking teams could miss the 8.
Yeah, absolutely they could.
Cronulla, Penrith, and the Roosters could miss the 8.
I don't think Cronulla
Melbourne could miss the 8. The whole fucking 4 of them could miss.
I don't think Sharks or Melbourne do, but Penrith absolutely could miss the 8. And then it's just like
Roosters are probably going to miss the 8.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, here's 6 or 8 teams that could win the comp. I reckon that's tremendous. Like, this comp is, and it's only
100%.
like anyone could steamroll anyone this year, and right now I'm excited about it. So I guess we're going to talk about it every week, and we're going to keep doing it because it's what we do. And, you know, I'm also a bit frothing for Latrell, quietly. All right, let's go. We'll be back next Monday night, hopefully, to review all of this, and the preview will be down the road. Thank you guys for listening. YouTube, Spotify, all that sort of good stuff. See you guys.
Bedtime. No.